Bashir saves the day. Rom saves the day. And Michael Eddington saves the day again. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are doing a review of Deep Space Nine's Season 4, Episode 10, Our Man Bashir, directed by Weinrich Colby, written by Ronald D. Moore, and the story is by Bob Gillen, the excellent musician and lyricist. How are you today, Cirroc?
Bob, very good, very good. And I like that little play.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Doing just fine, thank you very much. This is a good one. Everybody, you remember this episode. It's a very James Bond episode. We're going to talk all about it. Just please remember to go check us out at patreon.com/the seventh rule, or just look up the seventh rule anywhere on your favorite social media. That's 7, the number 7, TH rule. And join the team, have some fun. We got all kinds of good stuff, and we hope you've enjoyed 12 days of content, by the way. Now, one final thing. We also have a birthday today, a very special Seventh Rule birthday, Malissa Longo. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Malissa. Yes, it is the day.
We're all going to be partying together virtually, I'm sure. It'll all be virtual because we live far away too. So even if it, who knows?
Yeah, but we're still going to celebrate. And the amazing thing is that we got another birthday coming after that. So we'll be loaded up with birthdays this month. Right.
January is Seventh Rule birthday month. It is insane, especially the first half of January. It's just chock full. We've got Melissa's birthday, we've got Aron Eisenberg's birthday, and we have the Seventh Rule's birthday, also known as an anniversary. So look forward to all of that.
Absolutely.
Great. So let's talk about this one. First things first, do you remember last week when we reviewed an episode of Discovery? And it was about them going to see that Kelpian on that MC Escher planet, and how I said, this is kind of like that typical Star Trek trope of being stuck in a holodeck kind of episode. And and what do you know, very next week, we get a being stuck in the holodeck episode, which is it's like a Star Trek tradition. But I think this is the first one you've seen, right?
Yes, this is my first being stuck in a holodeck episode. Also, my first seeing the Defiant get blow up. But yeah, it was interesting.
That was the shuttlecraft, I believe, wasn't it?
Okay, so that wasn't the Defiant.
Right, it was the Orinoco, which was like the shuttlecraft ship, kind of a bigger ship, shuttlecraft that they used to use before they had the Defiant.
Okay.
My first thought was, why aren't they using the Defiant? But we find out later it's because they kind of needed it.
Right. So that's good to know. But yeah, what's great about it is how I'm sure if this has been done before, they always find a different way to get you stuck in that holodeck, right? I'm sure this is a new way that's been created.
Yeah, and we always kind of harken back to when we're talking to like Robert Hewitt Wolf or Ira Stephen Bear, and they say that the scientific stuff, the how, and the how stuff is kind of the most boring and uninteresting part, and it kind of is to us too. The point is, it's Deep Space Nine in a James Bond movie, kind of, right? But of course, they have to figure out, okay, how do they get stuck in the holodeck? And that's the hard part. But they always come up with something, and this time they said because that was the only place that the station could save the files of their neural information or something.
Something like that or another. But yeah, no, I really like this episode. And one of the things that I enjoy about watching really well done Star Trek episodes is when they go into the period pieces and they get into a time that we're all familiar with and we all have a little bit of knowledge about. So, Far Beyond the Stars, This one set in, I think, 1964, during the Cold War. I like those kinds of period pieces. It takes our characters out of their comfort zone, puts them in a different scenario, a different period, and we get to see them shine in those kinds of moments when they do shine. And I think this was an excellent example of Bashir, uh, shining in this moment, or Alexander Siddig and Andrew Robinson, who really made this episode work.
Why is it that somehow a Cardassian looks great in a tux, and also, by the way, a Klingon looks great in a suit too? I don't know how it worked out, but for some reason, Garrick looks awesome, and Worf in that white suit looked so good. And you would think that they would look ridiculous and out of place, but somehow it worked. But there was so many cool outfits, not the least of which, of course, being Sisko's was the roof, man. I feel like everybody that watched that episode was like, damn, I want that. But I want to get your take on the wardrobe, because you've got a keen eye for that kind of stuff, and I'm sure you noticed a lot of it.
Yeah, I did notice a lot of it, and some of the things that instantly popped up in my mind when I saw Garrick was how big the neck had to have been in order to incorporate his prosthetics.
Yeah, and down all the way.
Right, because as you can see, his suit jacket is opened up a little bit farther and wider, obviously because of the neck ridges. So that was one thing that I really paid attention to. But I did think that the clothes was spot on, well done. And I mean, from everything from the negligee that Kira was wearing to all the guest stars in this episode, the James Bond guest stars, as well as Julian Bashir's wardrobe. I just liked it all. But you're right, Worf looked pretty magnificent in the white blazer.
Somehow he looked so sharp, and I don't know why or how, but he sure did.
And so much so that you almost forget that he's an alien. It's almost like he looks human with that suit on. It's kind of ridiculous, but I really did enjoy the wardrobe. I really enjoyed the set decoration as well. They had a lot of things that were like the telephones and the lamps and the furniture, which and Andy Robinson or Garrick was very critical of in this episode.
Oh, such a good line. What did he say? I want to make sure I get it exact. It was towards the end, and he wakes up and he says, another decorator's nightmare.
Exactly. I really did like that. The whole episode was like, it was a James Bond feel to it. They had we had Colin O'Brien with the eye patch with the Falcon on it. I thought that was another cool touch. And of course, we were used to seeing Colin playing villains in movies, so he actually looked most comfortable in that exact role, because that's what he does when he's not on DS9. So that was pretty fun to see as well.
Yeah, he's done a lot. It feels like he is the guy that gets the most. Maybe he doesn't get the most work out of the group, but he gets the most like notable roles. Because like if you look at the IMDb, there people are just constantly working, but it seems like Colum keeps popping up on your TV and trailers. You know what I mean? Like he's actually getting like you're like, wait a minute, I recognize that voice. My favorite, and I know this is way back in the day, but it was Con Air. Was it Con Air that he was in, right?
Oh yeah, he was in Con Air.
I was so excited. I was like, whoa, it's O'Brien.
Yeah. That was it. Let me text him back really quickly.
So I will say though that the outfits were cool, and I'm not a big like 60s or 50s buff or 20s buff. I do like period pieces, but I tend to like period pieces that are like a long time ago, like
Right.
fantasy things or, Knights of the Round Table kind of stuff, when it's like, and I do like the cheese factor of the 80s and 90s, the nostalgia of kind of going back and seeing how silly it was. But this one, so usually this kind of stuff isn't my bag, but of course it works great because it's even more of a period piece coming from the 2300s going back to the 1960s, which we do see a lot in Star Trek as well. But you're more of a you like the 60s and the 70s and those kind of pieces.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big James Bond fan, so I've liked James Bond from the Sean Connery, Roger Moore, that era. So I kind of grew up watching it, and so already right there they've got me in on James Bond because I want to see a James Bond flick, So that was great, just to touch that and kind of cross that genre with Star Trek is a great idea. I loved it when he was like Bashir, Julian Bashir.
That was your first hint that it was going to be like a James Bond thing. And speaking of which, we do have somebody that's jumping in on us. Suddenly, hello.
Apologize, hands in the air. I do.
Our man Bashir is here.
Have been having all kinds of problems getting here. I did get here, and I apologize to all your viewers and listeners.
Oh man,
I'm sorry, guys.
Not at all. How are you today, Sid?
I'm fine now. A whole series of family things kicked off, and being in the wrong place without the right car, and my goodness, was trouble. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Well, we really appreciate you still scrambling to make it happen and jumping in.
Awesome.
I wouldn't have missed it for the world. I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
Thanks so much.
So
man Bashir is here in the flesh.
We were just talking about, Cirroc was talking about how we get introduced pretty quickly as to what kind of episode this is going to be.
Yeah.
And you say, well, what did he say? I already forgot what he said.
They said, what's your name right away? What's your name? And you say, Bashir, Julian.
Oh, that's
Bashir.
right. He didn't have a nickname.
Yeah.
And we go,
Bashir.
well, I get it.
Julian Bashir. Yeah, absolutely.
So,
and there were a couple of assistants that you had in this episode that were really beautiful people.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember their names, Cirroc?
One was Mona Loves It. Is that right?
And Come On and Off.
Yes. Love it. I love it too.
Cirroc loves it.
Cirroc loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't any attempt to try and be like subtle in this show. It was just a huge fun fest. It was one of the big marquee shows of the season in terms of budget. And I remember the director going, "We're spending all the money for Deep Space Nine on this show, so don't go."
And so a lot of it went to the set was kind of really amazing. All the details. Love the rotating bar / bedroom.
Oh yeah.
Anybody could use one of those.
It's the thing about one of the things about Star Trek, and it came in the Next Generation, and it started particularly with this wonderful character called Q, was the holosuite, and what you could the holograph, the other dimension in which you could explore your fantasies and ideas and thoughts in a place that was not physical, and. I think that was one of the things that I loved enormously about Star Trek is, and there's this whole other place where you could just live out your fantasies. And this was fantasy for sure.
So when you first saw the script, was that your first thought that you say, wow, I get to do something totally different? Obviously, they have to put it within the Star Trek world and say all kinds of doodads about well, their memories or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or their files are stuck here. But the point is, you guys get to play in 1960s James Bond era stuff. Did they warn you ahead of time, or did you just see the script and get excited for it?
Just saw the script and got supremely excited. I mean, for those who don't really know Bashir was the guy who never really succeeded at anything social. He could not pull it off, whether it was a love life or he just had real problems in that area. And this was a chance for him to do the thing and be the guy and get the girl and do that. And it's just so perfect.
Yeah. That's what I liked about it. And of course, everybody dreams of being James Bond. As we watch the movies, we all put ourselves in the role. It's kind of like watching a Bruce Lee movie and coming out of the theater fighting and thinking you can karate kick somebody. But James Bond has been like that person who's so smooth and so calm under pressure.
Yeah.
And I think you just pulled it off remarkably well. I loved your performance in this episode.
Thank you. I was lucky. Great script, limitless budget.
Wow.
The first Arab or Indian-looking James Bond, and probably the last ever. So we got.
I don't know. I don't know, but I definitely think you pulled it off. And one of the things that played well in this episode was your relationship and your chemistry with Andy Robinson.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys played so well off of each other. And I thought that one of the central themes of this episode, which is the fact that he is the real spy. And in this episode, you're playing the spy. I love that dynamic between the two of you.
Yeah. He was such a pleasure. And, and obviously Nanab played a huge part, and she had a blast. I mean, everybody who was in it had a blast, because it was a kind of throwback to 60s misogyny, but without unfettered, without any of the political correct stuff that we have to and should put on top of it now.
Yeah.
It was just good fun. And the 60s were particularly glamorous, and originally it was Sean Connery. So this is the Bond. And then there was a big discussion about, which Bond are you trying to play, Serge?
Like you got to pick one.
That's Sean Connery to me is James Bond. That's just in my mind.
To me too.
Okay. So then we're good. Then I give Roger Moore a close second. I like his performances. It's all about Connery.
Yeah, absolutely. I like Daniel Craig is my second, but Sean Connery is my first. So suave, and so that guy could pull off such a bigot. That character, Fleming's Bond, is such a despicable guy. And you just needed someone. And I think that Roger Moore was just a little, God bless his cotton socks, was just a little too charming, that he made fun of the character. I think that Connery took it seriously, and Bashir got a chance to really take it seriously in a pastiche. In a pastiche way.
We've got to take a quick break, speaking of blessing cotton socks. And I do want to say, I want to put my name in that hat too, and say that Sean Connery for me as well. I think he's definitely the guy. But we're going to take a super quick break, and we'll come right back on The Seventh Rule.